episode 007 of iTechTriad Live. This week we're going to be talking Apple with two iPhones, Android with the Sony Xperia Z2 tablet, a Google smartwatch, and the Nokia X, and also the Galaxy S5 was finally announced today. So we're going to get right into this. I'm joined by Andrew today, and Alex is not here because he is sick.
Unfortunately.
So, yeah. But let's just jump right into it with Apple releasing two iPhones this year.
Which is extremely strange. I was thrown off by it. 'Cause I haven't really heard of a company doing that before. Having like one specific, um, line of phones, and then all of a sudden, taking one of those phones as a quote unquote experiment, which is pretty interesting. I don't know why they did that. I guess they just wanted to go with a bigger screen.
Yeah,
A
it's
little.
it's interesting that they're going to be releasing a 4.7-inch phone, which they've been needing to do for a very long time, but also that they're going to release a 5.6-inch one, which I know will make a lot of people who are phablet fans very happy.
Yeah.
So
But
that would be interesting, but it won't be called the iPhone.
Yeah, which is I don't know what it will be called. It's they're just not calling it the iPhone. They took the naming off of it. It's just I don't know. I have no idea what it's going to be called, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
keep an
kind of,
eye on that.
yeah,
There's,
that's strange for sure.
there's nothing else more. I mean, probably a little bit better specs than previously. Nothing too
Yeah.
impressive, I would say. Um,
I do see here a 10 megapixel camera, so it's good to see they're finally getting off
Picking
of
up.
the 8 megapixel.
Yeah, I mean, and people have been complaining about that for a while.
Yeah.
Is they take, you know, their iPhones are good hardware, and Alex loves hardware. He's probably
Hmm.
listening in. He loves hardware, but he uh he one of the bad things about the iPhone has always been its camera, and
Well, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. It's always taken very good pictures. It's just the fact that they're
it's
not
not.
very high
Um,
quality. They're always 8 megapixels, which you can take a good 8 megapixel shot, but
yeah.
if you put that up on a big screen and you have to zoom in on it, it's not going to look as good as a 10 megapixel or higher
Hmm.
camera.
Yeah.
But that's
I mean,
pretty much it for that. I
yeah,
hope that happens. I'd love to see two larger iPhones next to the 5S, which would be probably their $99 model next year.
yeah.
So
Hopefully they won't go back into the 5C, man. I don't know.
I
We don't know
hope
what they're doing. Apple's always been a little mysterious about that.
not. But
Moving on,
yeah,
I guess.
that's all we're gonna talk about for Apple.
Yeah.
We're gonna head over into Android, which there is a lot of news this week because
Hmm.
MWC is going on. But actually,
Yep.
just before MWC started, Samsung released a full list of devices that are going to get KitKat,
Yeah.
which is nice. It's nice to see them actually sitting down and deciding which devices are going to get KitKat and telling people about that.
Yeah. But
Which,
and there's a lot. There's a good number of them too.
yeah,
So,
I'm gonna read them off here.
all right.
So it starts off Galaxy S4, which of course, because that's not their newest flagship anymore, but it's only one behind. S4 Mini, and actually, just not thinking about the S4 actually is already getting KitKat. There, depending on your carrier, you should already have KitKat on your S4.
Hmm.
S4 Mini, S4 Active, S4 Zoom, Note 3, Note 2, S3, and S3 Mini. It's really nice to see it on the S3 because that's a 2-year-old phone now.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to see it on there.
They kind
Galaxy.
they must
Go
just
ahead.
want to get it to people,
Yeah.
you know.
Hopefully, it brings the refined interface of the new TouchWiz on the S5 that we've seen, as long as it doesn't include that horrendous settings menu. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Yeah.
Keeping going on that, it's going to have the Galaxy Mega, and then going to tablets, it's going to have the Note 8.0, the Tab 3, the Note 10.1, and the Note 10.1 2014 edition.
Hmm.
That one is a mouthful. But yeah. So if you have one of those devices, you should be getting a KitKat update soon because they did say it is rolling out now.
Yep. And well, that's that, I guess. Which is it's good because, even with 2-year-old phones, they're going back because a lot of people still have those phones.
Yep.
And I know I have a two, 3 generations back phone. I have an iPhone 4, and I haven't upgraded in a while. But
Hmm.
yeah. So I mean and I know for a fact iOS 8 not gonna be on 4. It can barely handle 7.
No, I mean, my dad has a 4S and it struggles on there, so I can't
It does.
imagine having the
A,
for the four, which it has a weaker processor, right?
yeah,
So I can't imagine that having.
A5, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I.
think so. I believe so. Don't
Mhm.
count me on that. That's done. The Samsung releases of KitKat. Um,
So the next thing we're gonna move on to is the Google smartwatch, which is finally
yes.
confirmed. I'm gonna put that in quotes. It's confirmed by EvLeaks or EVLeaks, however you want to say that. They sent out
Yep.
a tweet and a post saying that it is confirmed to be released at Google I/O and it will be made by LG, which I
Hmm.
didn't expect. I kind of thought it was going to be made by Motorola or HTC.
Yeah. I mean, I I can't wait for it, honestly. It's
I can't either. I'm going to be setting some money aside for that one.
oh yeah, maybe. We'll see. Maybe we'll like a bunch for iTechTriad, just start handing
Mm.
out. No.
that would be awesome.
That
But
would be lovely.
supposedly it's going to be a Google Now themed, which in my opinion that's the perfect idea for what to put on your smartwatch. I
Uh-huh.
don't really want to see, oh, I just got a new email and then pull up my phone to check the email. I don't really want to do that. I would want information that's relevant. So I would want, the weather and um,
Hmm.
if I have a package in the mail, I'd want to see that. I want the information Google now provides is the stuff I want to see on my wrist. I don't want to see that I just got an email, or I don't want to answer a phone call and then hold my uh, watch up
Yeah,
to
your
my
wrists
mouth like
wash up
the
to your face.
Galaxy Gear. But anyway, and it's kind
Yeah.
of cool that now the smartwatch. It's getting kind of competitive because Samsung
Oh,
released their
definitely.
3 gear models, even though all of those run Tizen. Tizen. I always call it Tizen for some reason. It's Tizen.
Dyson.
Tizen. But Gear 2, that was released. It's kind of nice. I'll talk a little bit more about that with the S5 later, but yeah, the Google
So,
Now smartwatch
yep.
I/O. Be cool.
Um, question. LG, they're making it.
Hmm.
And they just came out with what? The G2?
They came out with the G Pro 2 and
Yeah.
the G2 Mini just this past little
Yeah.
during MWC, but also I do want to mention this that I was told by someone who does work at LG that my phone just went off. That this is actually going to happen. It will be an actual thing, a Google Watch made by LG, which
Hmm.
is kind of cool. I'm not going to say his name, obviously, but I think that's kind of cool. It's actually going to happen, and LG is actually doing it. I hope they do a good job on it.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, Google, they're carrying a big name right there
Hmm.
because Google has always been one of the top devices have Google, the Nexus, all these different, phones, and I just what if I'm hoping it'll live up to Google Glass. That'd be pretty interesting.
I would love to have Google Glass, and then I'd love to have Google Glass up on my face, and then I'd like have that Google Watch on my wrist so I can do Google Now. I basically would like never need to take my phone out except to send a text. Actually, I can send a text message from Glass,
Yeah.
so my
So,
phone's
I
just
mean,
gonna be a big battery.
unless the Google smartwatch does come out with technology that enables it to pick up, and sense your voice, uh,
Which I'm
pick that
sure it
up better.
will. If
Yeah.
it's a Google Now watch, then I'm sure it's going to be able
Hmm.
to, if you say, okay, Google, it's going to recognize that kind of like on the Moto X and the Nexus
Yeah.
5.
It'd
So
need a lot of mics though, because I know the Moto X has like 3 or 4 mics on it
I think
just to pick.
it has one on the front, one on the back and one on the top, and I feel like it has another one on the side.
Yeah, it's 3 or 4. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's. I
mean
mean,
it's
most phones have two, three,
maybe
if
3.
depending on the phone. I think the Nexus 5 has three,
Yep.
but I'm not sure. But anyway, I
Is it? Do you know if it'll be waterproof?
I
Is it
hope
a thing?
so. I don't know for sure, but we'll
Now,
see what happens.
will it be as waterproof as the going into the Sony Xperia Z2?
Yeah, that's a good
Because I know
transition.
they might the Sony Xperia is those Z2s are definitely waterproof, but no, don't know about the Google
Well,
smartwatch.
they're not water. They're not completely waterproof. They are waterproof to an extent. If you take it too
Oh
far
yeah.
down in the water, or if it's underwater too
I mean,
long,
you can't go deep sea diving with it, but
yeah. But you can do. You can if you want to go underwater and take a picture, you can. It's not like the. I think the S5 is only to where you can take it. Basically, if you drop it in the pool or something like that, it's if you take it back out really quick, it's gonna be fine. You might be able to take it underwater. I'm not sure, but we'll
maybe,
see.
maybe it all depends. So talking about that, um, impressive specs on the Sony Xperia Z2.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, it had a lot to live up to. The S or the Z1 was a very nice phone.
now it's no Note 12.2 in size.
The tablet.
Yeah, I'm talking about the tablet right now. The it has a here are the specs. It has a Snapdragon 801 processor, 10.1-inch fully HD screen, Qualcomm Quick Charge 2.0, and 3 gigs of RAM. Also 16 gigs of storage, and you can expand that through a micro SD card
Which
and
is
an 8
nice to
megapixel
see.
camera.
That's very nice to see a good camera on a tablet.
Yeah.
The one thing I don't like about that, I know it's very thin. It's a 6.4 millimeter tablet,
Hmm.
which is incredibly thin. What I don't like is that the battery is really small.
Yeah.
If you look at tablets like the Note 10.1, or not the Note 10.1, the Tab Pro 10.1 and the Nexus 10, their batteries are around 9,000 milliamp.
Hmm.
This tablet is 6,000.
Yeah.
So it kind of worries me that it's not going to have good battery life. I don't know what Sony did to keep that from happening. I know they can't fit a huge battery because it's so thin, but I just hope they didn't make it so thin that they're compromising a good battery.
Hmm. Yeah, and especially with a tablet, that's kind of what you want.
Mm-hmm.
With a tablet, you're going to be, messing around with it throughout the day. I think maybe more than you with your phone,
Yeah.
because there are certain things you can do on a tablet that might be a better experience compared to with a phone. But we'll just see about that.
Yeah, I want to take a look at it, but the Z2 has similar specs. I'm talking about the phone now. It
Hmm.
has very similar. I think it's almost the exact same specs. Is
Hmm.
it?
I I believe so. I'm not
Yeah,
entirely sure.
it's got good specs. I had a lot to live up with to from the Z1, which was a great phone.
Hmm.
I'm just trying to look up the specs right now, but I know it has a 5.1-inch display, which is the same size as the S5. And you hear me going about the S5 a lot because I was kind of excited to see what Samsung was going to do. But we're gonna get to that a little bit later. Xperia Z2 has it's a 5.2-inch display, which is the same size as the LG G2.
Hmm.
It has an IP58 water resistance, which lets it go up to 5 feet underwater for 30
Yeah.
minutes
There's definitely a difference between water resistance
and
and
waterproof.
waterproof.
Yeah.
You can't
Um,
do much with water resistance. That's like, oh man, I dropped my phone in the water. Let me pick it up real quick.
yeah.
That difference between hold on, let me take a picture underwater. You
Yeah.
know,
And I'm sure it says you can take it underwater, but it's just
go too deep.
don't go in there and stay in there for,
Yeah,
don't go scuba diving with this phone.
yeah.
And then it's got a 2.3 gigahertz Snapdragon 801, 3 gigs of RAM, and a 20.7 megapixel camera. Wow.
Wait, you said 20.7 megapixel camera?
Yeah.
I didn't see the specs. That's
That's
impressive.
actually the same as what they had in the Z1. The only difference is now it can shoot 4K video, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
and it's
especially on a phone.
hmm yeah, and both the Z2 and the Z2 tablet both run 4.4,
Hmm.
which is nice to see a good recent version of Android, the newest version of Android on your tablet
Yeah,
and your phone. Now let's talk about something that doesn't have KitKat, and that is the Nokia X, Nokia's
yeah.
long rumored Android phone, which is not at all what we were hoping to see. When that
Um,
1020 came out, I was like, oh man, I want this, but I need Android on it. That was before I got my first Windows phone. If you've been following me on Google Plus and Instagram, you'll know I just got a Lumia 520 so I can try out Windows Phone. So far, I
mhm.
really like it. We'll probably go into that a little bit more in the future.
Yeah,
But
this Nokia X, the pictures, I don't know if I like the design.
well, I kind of do. I really like the way Nokia designs their phones. I think they look great. I
Hmm.
think the one problem is this phone only has a back button.
Yeah, I'm
That's
looking
it.
at that. I'm like, yeah, back button on screen, no home, no. I
hmm
guess it's maybe no, maybe it isn't on screen display.
Nope, there's nothing on screen. They said they have for multitasking. There is a I think it's called a quick view or something like that, to where
Hmm.
the second or third row on your home screen will hold like three or four of your most recent apps. So like say I was just in Skype, or I was just in my phone dialer, or I was just in messaging, it's going to recognize those three that were just open, so you have quick access to them,
Yeah,
which is nice. I mean, for the price these phones cost, which there are three versions of this Nokia X, the X Plus, and the XL, and I'll go into the specs in a minute. But
which those prices aren't the prices only go up in what,
I
like
think
variants of $10 each.
the the X is 89 euros, which is about $122, and then it goes up to for the XL, it goes up to 109 euros, which is I think it's getting close to like $150. So
Hmm.
they're not priced bad at all. I just don't think they would do good in the US when they come to the US, which will probably be, when did they say it was coming to the US? I think they said sometime late this year or early next year, if it
Hmm.
comes to the US. I don't know for sure. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
the specs on the Nokia X, the low end entry level, is going to be a 4-inch WVGA display, which is 800 by 480 with 3G only. You can't even get HSPA plus, which is kind of a downside because that's typically a little bit faster than 3G.
Hmm.
It's got a dual core Snapdragon S4 in it, 512 megabytes of RAM, 4 gigabytes of internal storage with no micro SD card expansion, 1500 milliamp battery, 3 megapixel rear camera, and a and you do have the capability for dual SIMs, which overseas, and that's a very important thing to have. So that's probably going to be a good selling point of the phone.
And yeah, that's probably gonna be one of the only selling points of the phone.
Yeah.
I mean, these specs, I mean, for the price, yeah, they're okay. But the Moto X, it was cheaper, and it's still
Well, it's cheaper
that
in
was
the
on contract.
US.
Sorry, this is probably off contract. What we're talking about.
These are off contract. The Moto G is a, is still by far the best deal on a smartphone you can get
Hmm.
because of what you get for the low price. The only thing is the price isn't consistent everywhere.
Yeah.
In the US, it's a very low 179 without a contract, which is great for what you get. But overseas, I've heard it varies depending on where you are, which kind of stinks. But what are you gonna do? You're still getting a great phone at a relatively low price.
Hmm. Yep.
I'm gonna move on to the next one now. The X Plus has literally the exact same specs as the X. The only
Except
difference, it has a little bit more RAM. It's up to 768, and
compared
it has
to.
micro SD card. And that's
Hmm.
compared to 512 with no expandable storage. So you're not getting a lot extra, but it's only 10 euros more, so you're only paying 99.
Hmm.
So if you need to get one under 100, you really go for the X Plus, because the X, I can't see that is going to perform terribly because it doesn't have KitKat. It has 4.1.2 Jelly Bean, which it'll probably run okay when you first get it, and then it will be terrible. But after that is the XL. Honestly, if I had to get one of these phones, I'd probably get the XL because it's not that much more expensive. It's got a 5-inch screen, 2000 milliamp battery, 5 megapixel camera, two megapixel front camera, Snapdragon S4, 768 megabytes of RAM, 4 gig storage external, and then dual SIM 3G. So it's probably the best one out of the bunch
Yeah, I would say so.
in a relative term.
Hmm.
They all kind of stink, but
It's opinion.
what are you gonna do? And honestly, I'd probably get a Windows Phone before I got this because Windows Phone does better on that kind of hardware.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
this
just
is this is like a mix between Windows and Android.
it. Yeah, what Nokia did is they took the AOSP, the Android Open Source Project, and took
Yeah.
it and created their own skin of Android, which honestly you can't even tell it's Android. It's kind of
Yeah.
like what Amazon did with the Kindle line,
Hmm.
which they did great with the Kindle line. It's a great low cost device. I until the Nexus 7 came out because that was kind of it was the same price point, but it was a lot more flexible. It was a lot better device.
Yeah, I love the Nexus 7.
But hope I like that Nokia is trying this. I hope it does okay.
If
Um,
if they added better hardware specs and used the same type of open source Android, I think
um, I don't
that
even know if it with the if it was better specs. The XL or yeah, the XL at least has decent specs. There are
Mhm.
still Android phones with that exact spec list,
Yeah,
but the only difference is they don't run completely forked Android because you can't. There are no Google services on this at all. You're basically got Nokia and you've got Microsoft services. So it's basically Windows Phone on Android. So
yeah. Well,
yeah,
I mean that's really it for Nokia X. There's not much
yeah,
to it.
it's here. We have it, and it's very underwhelming.
Yeah,
But let's go to something that wasn't underwhelming, and that's the Galaxy S5.
the Band-Aid.
It's finally here. I shouldn't have said it was not very underwhelming because it actually was a lot. It wasn't as good as I was hoping it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a lot better than what it ended up being.
Yeah.
But it's finally here. We finally have it, and let's
I
go
mean,
through the
it's
specs.
a good phone if you get a case.
Yeah, we'll go into that in a minute. Let's get the spec list going. It's got a 5.1-inch 1080p Super AMOLED display, so it's not the 2K we were expecting. It has a 2.5 gigahertz quad-core Snapdragon processor, and I'm still not sure because Samsung never said which Snapdragon it was. I've heard 805, I've heard 800, I've heard 801. So I'm honestly not sure. I'm gonna go with 801 because that makes the most sense, but I
Yeah.
don't know for sure. So it's got 16 or 32 gigs of storage with 2 gigabytes of RAM, so it's not the three like we've been seeing on a lot of other phones. It has a 2800 milliamp battery, which is still removable for those of you who love your removable batteries. It has a 16 megapixel rear camera with ISO and 4K video recording, which is nice to see. It's the first on a
Very nice.
smartphone to see ISO. And then you have a 2.1 megapixel front camera, micro USB 2.0, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, blah 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 blah. It's available in black, white, blue, and gold. It's got Android 4.4.2 KitKat. It's got the fingerprint scanner, so it doesn't have that iris scanner that everyone was kind of rumoring, but
Hmm.
that's not a thing. And it's got IP67 dust and water resistance, which
We
again is not waterproof.
Yeah, we were hoping for the
Yep.
iris scanner, but like we said, that's not going to be for a while.
Yeah,
And
and I
then,
hope it's not for a while because I mean, honestly, I'm a little more wary to scan my eye than I am to just swipe my thumb or my finger because
yeah,
that's a little less creepy.
and let's talk about the fingers, the fingerprint scanner, because real quick, that it is not like the Apple fingerprint scanner. It
Hmm.
is a swipe your thumb down real quick
Yep.
over the
It
scanner, and then it detects the notches in your skin, and that's
Mhm.
what gives it that ID. Now, whereas the Apple scanner, you just place it there for a couple seconds and then you're done.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
think the one thing I like about that a little more is the fact that it's not as obvious to the people who don't know about it.
hmm
If I had an iPhone 5S and I unlocked it with my fingerprint, if I give it to somebody else and they're trying to figure it out, then, they
yeah,
obviously they're still not gonna be able to get in, but
it's just
it's
me to
not. It's
watch
very
them.
obvious. It'd
I
be
mean,
kind of
if you're
funny to watch
swiping
someone
down,
on. It'd be kind of funny to have someone set up their fingerprint on the S5 and then watch them try to figure it out.
oh yeah,
If they
definitely.
don't know, but anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you
Um,
see them swiping down. It's like, oh, he's just swiping his phone.
hmm
You get
yeah,
people to try it, maybe get some money off of it. No.
yeah. But it's definitely a lot better of a fingerprint scanner than what we saw on the HTC One Max.
Mhm,
It looks like it's the same technology. It's just better in the Samsung since it's not on the back, right underneath the camera. I've heard the people who reviewed that device about half the time they would swipe the camera instead of the fingerprint scanner.
mhm.
So nice to see that they're not putting it on the back,
And it also is the first phone to have a heartbeat monitor, I think.
which is strange and
I
gimmicky.
don't know
And
why they did that.
it's so they can make a weird commercial about it.
Oh yeah.
But underneath the camera, instead of having a dual LED flash like we were hoping, and like we've seen in just about everything else at this point, we know the HTC One, the new one, is going to have that. The iPhone 5S has that. Basically, anything from this point on that doesn't have dual flash, I'll be shocked. But the S5 doesn't have it. It actually has a single flash, but next to it is that heart rate monitor, which is just there. You have to use S Health to use it, but I don't really see the value in it unless you're one of those health freaks.
hmm
But yeah, I don't really see the benefit in having a heart rate monitor on your phone.
Look, if you guys know the benefit, tell us, because we're at a loss
Yeah,
why
please, because
Samsung put that down there.
I really want to know. I really want to know why that is worth it. If you know a reason why it's worth it, send us what you think on Twitter at iTechTriad, because we really do want
Or
to know what it's worth.
you know what it could be is maybe you could make to developers out there, you could make a game that you have to play Flappy Birds with your heart.
That would be fun because the more you play that game, the faster your heart rate goes.
No, no.
But
I mean, no,
I
but that
doubt,
that
I doubt,
definitely adds to
yeah.
workout apps. I know I got a few workout
Mhm.
apps that I really love, and that could definitely help.
If
Um,
Samsung lets them use it,
yeah.
that's the thing. I don't know if I know it's built in. You can use it with S Health, which comes with the phone, which is part of the bloatware, which I'll talk about in a minute because it really annoys me. That was a really long sentence. But the heart rate monitor, it only works with S Health right now. Might work with other things if Samsung decides they want to.
hmm
The fingerprint scanner works with unlocking the phone and actually works with PayPal, which is
Yeah,
kind of nice to see. I like seeing that it works with
that's
another
that's
app.
that's really cool.
I kind of want to see it work with Google Wallet or Google Play because
hmm
that's a little more practical. But I'll take it as I can get it.
Uh-huh.
But it's a nice phone. I like it, but I don't. I like the fact that they've changed it. They sort of touched down. They sort of toned down TouchWiz. It looks better, but there's more in it. The settings menu, as I said earlier, is horrendous. I cannot get over that. They changed everything to icons and it looks absolutely terrible. If you think it looks good, please tell me because I want to know why you think it looks good because I really can't stand it. But I
We
mean
all we
the
all have our opinions.
the
Don't worry
home
about that.
screen the home screen looks nicer. It's flatter, so it looks nice. If they have their version of on the Nexus 5, you can swipe to the side, you get Google Now. They kind of have a version of that on theirs. It's called My Magazine. Um, it's nice. I kind of like the improvements they did aside from the settings menu, but
Yeah.
they added the recent apps button, which yay. I that it's always annoyed me every time when Alex had his S3. It always annoyed me. I'd pick up his phone to do something, and I'd always hit that first of all, the back button on the other side always kind of messed me up, but then
Mm,
the fact that there was no recent apps button kind of annoyed
yeah.
me. So now you're gonna have faster multitasking, which
Yeah,
is
and let's talk about the physical buttons. What is up with that again? They don't
yeah,
know how to get
they
away from that.
I think on this one I will excuse the physical buttons because it has the fingerprint scanner.
Hmm.
I will excuse them for doing the physical buttons. I wish they would swap them and put the back button on the other side
Yeah.
and get the recent apps back where it's put them back where they're supposed to be.
Or put the fingerprint scanner on the back, maybe.
I don't want it on the back. I think that's really confusing.
Why?
Because for one thing, for me, because I have the G2 and my buttons are on the back, I'm gonna end up pushing on the fingerprint scanner. But
Nah.
I
Well,
don't
and
want it on the
not if
back
you only
because
have the fingerprint scanner on the back, right above the heartbeat monitor.
yeah, well, maybe I don't know. I have to use this phone first. I want to get my hands on one, just even if
Yep.
it's just in the store to try it out. I'm gonna see if I can get
Let us make
Samsung.
that a goal.
I want Samsung to send us one out. So
And of
Samsung,
course,
if you're listening, we want one.
yes, we do.
But
When you're done with that, I'll take it off your hands and I'll
yeah.
mess around with it.
But
Yeah.
it's a nice phone. It's got some nice new features. I think the best feature, and Andrew, I'll let you go for your next good feature, but my favorite feature by a long shot is what's called the ultra power saving mode. And it is I don't like the name of it, but
Ultra
it's a
power
very
saving mode.
it's a very fitting name. Samsung claims that you will get 24 hours of battery life on this mode using only 10% of your battery.
Ah, wow.
That is incredible.
That's
And
bold.
the way they do that, it actually makes sense that they do it. I don't know if it's going to get 24 hours, but I can see it getting somewhere close to that because of what they did to make this happen. Basically, what they do, for one thing, they basically turn off TouchWiz. So I
Hmm.
don't know if I got this phone, I might leave that on. But it basically turns off anything you don't need. It turns off all your social apps, basically everything you don't really absolutely need on the phone. And then the stuff that it does keep, like the SMS app and the dialer, it themes them in black and white. Since this phone has an AMOLED screen, only the white pixels are lit up.
Yeah, because that's
So
gonna take
in
a lot of color
yeah,
and
so
battery away.
in theory, yes, you could get 24 hours, and I would love to put that on a test because that is so cool. I mean, when they said that, I was like, my jaw was on my desk as I was typing because it was awesome. I was just like in shock. I
Yeah,
love
and
the
that's good if
feature.
you like if you're like me and you're in school and you're sitting in class all day and you have your phone on airplane mode because for whatever reason these schools they have some sort of signal blocking device.
Does your school really have that? Because when I was in my school, I didn't have a lot of signal, but that was because of the area I was in.
Well,
I
it's
had
mainly the
signal.
area, but every time you step in, it's like cinder blocks seem to block the signal. So, I mean, but I
Well,
just stick mine in airplane mode all day. There's no point in wasting battery.
yeah. Even though your battery still probably doesn't do that good.
It's not great, but it's not horrible.
Mhm. Yeah, but I mean, like, I could see this being ideal for someone who is out all day, they're not near a charger, and then, at the last minute, they have to go somewhere else. They're like down at 10, 15% of their battery left.
Hmm.
They know they're still not going to be near a charger. I can see this being perfect because they don't have to worry about their phone dying. I know Alex last week, I was meeting him up in Winston for something, and his phone was at like 5% battery, and I was a half an hour away. By the time I got there, he was at 1%.
Wow.
And because I had my little external battery pack I brought for him, so it was like that I could see being it's like perfect for people like that who they're not near a charger all the time. They don't always feel like bringing an external battery pack with them, and they don't always feel like charging their phone. I mean, theoretically, if you give this to the right person who doesn't care about using social apps and all the other gimmicky stuff, they just want to make phone calls and send text messages, but they want a big screen. I mean, they
Hmm.
could get a week off of this battery.
Yeah, I guess
So
that's true. But
we'll see what
it's
happens.
I'm not trying to bash Samsung at all, but I want to know what is it made of? Is it metal? Is it? I
This
really do want to know.
this phone is made out of plastic because I
Hmm.
don't expect anything different from Samsung at this point.
they're still good
They're
phones. I mean,
they make great phones. From what I hear, this one doesn't have all the creaky noises like all the old ones, but
oh yeah. What's on the back?
it
The
has
is it
it's still plastic.
okay? Is
It's
it
still
like a
plastic.
hard or is it a soft plastic? Do you know?
It's still like a soft plastic. I've heard it feels like rubber, but
Okay.
it's not glossy or less glossy,
Hmm.
and it has dimples. So it kind of reminded me at first of the 2012 Nexus 7, which I
Hmm.
love the way that feels. I loved the way it looked. Samsung did not do this right because if they have four versions of the phone, it's in black, it's in white, it's in electric blue, and it's in gold.
Hmm.
And the dimples are always black. So on the blue one, it actually looks really good. I actually think it
Yeah.
looks really, really good on the blue one. The black one, it looks decent. The white one, I really don't. I mean, that one, I guess they're white, so it kind of looks more like a golf ball on the back. But the gold one looks like a band-aid.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like a band-aid. So I would not. I'm already not a fan of gold phones,
Yeah.
but I think Samsung just killed them infinitely for me.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
I don't know. I know other people are probably gonna say differently. I'm sure someone out there is gonna say they love it, and I'm gonna ask them why. But yeah. So the back looks not very good. I was hoping they would keep that leather thing they've had going, which actually I think that looks really, really good.
Yeah, but different colors, not gold.
No, I don't know why gold is such. I know Apple did it. They started it. It doesn't look horrible on the iPhone
Yeah.
because they kind of did it right. I think it looks fine with metal
Yeah.
in accent colors. Like
Yeah, it's the plastic.
The HTC One leak in gold, I don't like because it's completely gold. It's gold with black accents. I think if it was like white or black with gold accents, I think that
Yeah.
looked really good. But
Yeah, I'm
you
really
know,
liking this electric blue.
I know I love the blue. I think if I got one, I'd get it in blue because it looks really good in blue. I don't think it
Yeah.
really looks good in any other color yet,
Hmm.
but I have to see it in person. It always looks different in pictures.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, S5 it's here. It's they haven't announced pricing yet. I've heard it's going to be available on most carriers like we expected. I mean, I can't imagine them not releasing it on every carrier they possibly can.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's coming. It's they didn't say when it was going to be available to purchase yet. It should be, I would assume, relatively soon.
Yeah.
But
Do you know pricing or any at all
they
or
have they haven't said anything about pricing yet. I've heard it's supposed to say the same as the S4, if not lower. I would hope lower, but S4, it was priced relatively good for what it was. I think it was about $600 without a contract, and
yeah.
it started at 200. I think 200 on a contract, which that's where a flagship phone should be placed. I don't like seeing phones priced at $300 with a contract because if
Yeah.
I was going to pay $300 for a phone, I would rather not sign a contract and then go spend an extra $100 and get a Moto X or something.
Yeah, those are the phones I tend not to get.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, the G2, I know originally I think it was 199 or 249 at its time. I mean, at its time, it was also the most advanced phone at its time because it was the first one with the Snapdragon 800.
Hmm.
But I don't think a phone should be priced more than $200 with a
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah, and that's where iPhone's place, and iPhone's still pretty. It's up there. I mean,
Hmm.
I like what these other companies did, like the Moto X. Still, I love that phone. It's a
I
great phone,
anyone who doesn't like that phone, I don't understand why. Because I mean, maybe the screen size. I know it's a little small for an Android phone, but
but still, it's great for
it's
recording.
nice.
It's very nice.
If you don't like
Anyways,
the Moto X, I'd love to know why.
tell us.
Because I mean, it's such a great phone. I almost got it instead of my G2. The only reason I got the G2 is because well, the Nexus 5 isn't on Verizon, so.
Yeah,
But
what are you gonna do about that?
yeah. So the S5, I'm excited to see it in person and to try it out.
Yeah,
and kind of learn more about it. It looks like a great phone. It obviously it's still got many flaws to it, and I'm sure every phone has flaws to it.
definitely.
I think honestly, I think the Moto X was the closest to a phone with no flaws
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's probably the closest it ever got to a perfect Android smartphone.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
but
Well, I guess that's pretty much it. What else happened at MWC? Anything
um,
interesting? I know it's
mm,
not
I
really.
know that Yoda phone, they released a new version of that, which is kind of cool. If you don't know what that phone is, it has a regular color panel on the front, and then on the back it has an e-ink screen. They released the first one last year, but this year they released a new one, which is it's actually honestly, if that was available on like Verizon, if it was available and I was getting ready to upgrade, or if I was just getting ready to buy a new phone, I would seriously consider it because it's a nice phone. It's got great
Yeah.
specs. It's got a very good screen. I mean, it's not a 5-inch screen; it's a 4.7-inch screen, but it's a nice screen. It's got soft keys, which I love soft keys. Um, it's nice. They say if you use the e-ink screen and the color screen in combination with medium to light usage, you can get 50 hours on the battery, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
Yep. So that's interesting.
So that was one of the other things that kind of caught my eye at MWC. Really quick back on the S5, I forgot to mention this.
Hmm.
The event was not terrible this year. I don't know how many people watched the S4 event last year or just heard of it, but I'm just gonna put it nice and simple. I still have nightmares about that event because that was terrible. That was, I mean,
Uh,
I've never seen anything so terrible, especially a smartphone launch. I was just like,
yeah.
they defined, um, they defined gimmicky in that event.
Yeah, I think so. But it's
Yeah,
it's in the past. The last one, that was
yep.
pretty good. I liked it. I
Um,
did watch some of it. So
yeah. Let me see here. What did we have? We had some wild cards, but I kind of deleted them. I didn't know how much time I was gonna have, but we got a
yeah.
little extra
Also,
time.
one other thing is please, if you're interested, do sign up for the newsletter. I've been working pretty
Yes.
hard on that, and it looks pretty good if I do say so myself. So
Hmm.
if you can, just get on that and subscribe. You can go to the website on iTechTriad.com. Just go to the website, click it on the homepage at the bottom. I think it's also on the contact us page. You know,
I believe so. It
yeah.
basically, yeah, just go down to the very bottom of the homepage. You'll see subscribe to our newsletter. Just put in your name and your email address.
Hmm.
What we promise, we're not going to do anything weird with that stuff, but just all you got to do is fill out that information, and once a week, I think on Fridays, you'll get a newsletter recapping the major news stories from the week.
Yep, it's scheduled for every Friday at 12 a.m. So you're looking for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it'll have main things. Like I know this week has some pretty interesting stuff. As the time goes on, I'll add some more and more stuff. But we got the MWC Galaxy launches, stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a
So,
lot of new Android news this week because of MWC.
oh yeah, definitely.
Um, I do want to mention one other thing that happened at MWC, and that was the HTC Desire. The
Hmm.
816 was finally announced. We had seen leaks about that. Basically, from what I hear, because I haven't done a ton of research into this phone. Basically, it's like a plastic HTC One,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. I mean, it's probably it's lower cost, it's
Yep.
more color options. It's actually got a 5.5-inch screen, and I mean, that's a good idea. I think HTC
Yeah.
should do more stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. So
It's
that's
nice.
it.
That's all I can say about that. I'm excited to see that in person. I don't know about release dates or anything, but
Yeah, and
looks
none of
cool.
none of this is really certain except for the Galaxy S5 and what was
Yep.
released
Oh,
already.
I forgot about the Gear 2.
You're forgetting about everything.
Yes, I am. I have a horrible short-term memory. The Gear 2 was officially announced actually just before MWC. They
Yes,
released the Gear 2 and the Gear 2 Neo. They are
which
both running Tizen. The specs are almost identical. If you want to know more about it, go ahead and go to our website. You can use the little search bar and search Gear 2.
You know what? I think you actually already talked about it when we talked about the Google smartwatch a
I
little
talked about it
bit.
a little. I didn't get into the actual
All
stuff,
right.
but basically the only difference between the Gear 2 and the Gear 2 Neo is that the Gear 2 has a camera, which,
Hmm.
it's there. And then there's the Gear Fit, which was released alongside the S5, which honestly looks better than the two. What do you think, Andrew?
The what looks better? Sorry.
The Gear Fit.
Yeah, I was looking at that. That looks pretty interesting. Different design, definitely.
Very different design.
It's a horizontal design instead of a vertical.
Hmm.
Um, it's pretty interesting. I don't know. I do like it the way it looks. Is if it's anything like the Fitbit, except the Fitbit was very how should I put this? It was very minimal. Uh,
You'll know who like that.
yeah, it was very minimal. It was like just a little section where it would display,
Hmm.
you know, your walking, your pedometer. It would display the
Yeah.
time, date, stuff like that. But it was still a pretty cool idea. I think
Yeah.
they
The
took that to a whole new level
Yeah,
with the actual screen.
the
Hmm?
fit is very similar to that. It's pretty much this. It's actually looks very similar. It's actually got the first smartwatch with a curved AMOLED screen, which is kind of cool. So just
Yeah,
to look at, it's just kind of cool. Um, I think that is probably going to do better than the Gear 2, because the Gear 2, I mean, it's there's just something about it. It's not the
yeah,
fact that it runs Tizen. I'm fine with that if it works, but there's just something about the gear I don't like. The gear fit I actually really like,
yeah.
but
I don't know.
I'm
I'm
waiting
not
to see what
really
Google
sure.
does. I'm gonna wait to see what Google does before I
I
do anything.
I want to see what Pebble does next. That probably won't
I
be for a while, but
I want to get a Pebble so bad, but as soon as I saw that leak about the Nexus watch, I was like, I'm not getting a Pebble. Because I know it sounds like I'm being all fanboy, but I know Google and Apple are the two that will do it right.
yeah,
Pebble has gotten it so close to being perfect.
yeah,
They did an amazing job, but I honestly think until Google and Apple make their watches, this market's just not it's just not going to be complete.
yeah,
So we'll wait for that, and I don't know, maybe we'll do a special edition on smartwatches because it's getting pretty competitive.
yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah, I think
if
that's
we
gonna
can
wrap
get
it
our
up.
hands on some
Yeah,
and compare them, that'd be pretty cool.
yeah. I know Alex said he wants to either get that Gear Fit or the iWatch when it comes out, and I definitely.
I don't. I
Well,
have very mixed feelings about that.
Alex wants another iPhone, and I don't blame him at all. iPhones are great.
The
Don't get me
5.6 inch one or the 4.7?
He likes big screens, so I can't imagine him not getting the 5.6. But anyway, the
Hmm?
iPhone is great. Don't get me wrong. I love the iPhone. Android works better for me. Does what I need it to do.
I'm jumping in between the
Hmm.
lines, like actually three of the lines. I don't know what I should get for my next phone.
Just out of
I want
curiosity, what did you mean by three?
Windows,
Oh,
Android, and Apple
yeah, Windows. I just got my 520. I like it. I don't know if I could use it
full time.
primarily. I
Yeah.
mean, let's say for some reason I have to drop off of Verizon, which in retrospect isn't exactly a bad thing. But if I had to drop off of Verizon, I would not be angry about having to use a Windows Phone 24/7 because it actually is a very nice ecosystem. It just doesn't have a ton of developer support, and
Yeah.
it's not you don't really have as much customization as you do in Android. I think once 8.1 comes out, which we did see leaks about that. I'm not going to go into depth, but they're going to talk about it's talking about like a notification bar, which is one of the things I think is sorely lacking from Windows Phone because I
Yeah.
always feel like when I feel my phone, the little phone buzz in my pocket, I always think, oh, I gotta go open it up and swipe down, and I'm like, oh wait, no, it doesn't have one. So then
Yeah.
I end up
Well,
going, it's all in the live tiles, which the
yeah.
live tiles are nice. I think Windows Phone is great. It's just not quite done.
Yeah. like you said, it needs developers. So quick homework to you listening peoples. Um, Tell me what phone I should get. I want to hear from you guys, your
Yeah,
opinions.
let,
Um,
let him know.
my social networks, I have a lot of them. Well, not really. It's mainly Twitter, Instagram. I did get a new Instagram for iTechTriad if you want to follow me. It's drawn to tech. Now the two is the numeral, not the word two. So it's DRAWN 2 TECH. So that's the Instagram. Twitter, I think it's on the website. I mean, just go to the website.
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, let me just check because I don't want to give you the wrong URL and then um give you the wrong thing. I don't want to give you the wrong thing. But yes, if you go to iTechTriad.com/Andrew-Romero, you can see his social networks are listed on there.
Look, I didn't even know that existed.
Yep, I set those up a couple weeks ago. I didn't tell anybody. They're kind of just there. But yeah,
Great.
you can go there and you can go follow him. Same for me. Just type in our names after I take triad. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's gonna wrap it up this week. I do want to mention real quick before we go that the show I Tech Triad Live is available on Stitcher, Pocket Casts, iTunes, now Xbox Music. I just got on Xbox Music yesterday.
Very
And
nice.
it's also on. You can also subscribe via RSS.
Yep.
You can go to iTechTriad.com/iTechTriadLive to check out that.
Yeah, and one other thing. What was I gonna say?
Oh,
You
I
know,
don't know. I can't read your mind.
I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, do that. It's gonna be on YouTube, right? Yeah.
Yes, and they're also available on YouTube every Tuesday. This one's probably gonna be available on Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
But
Oh, here's what I was gonna talk about.
okay.
Next week,
Oh
special,
yeah, next week.
and hopefully Alex will not be sick.
Yes,
You
next
know.
week we are going to be having two special guests from AndroidMeter.com, Justin and
Yay!
Nick, and we're going to be talking whatever happens between now and then.
Yes.
And then at the end of the show, is probably going to be like half of the show. So if you like this topic, definitely make sure to tune in. Is going to be Android skins versus stock Android. Because
Yay.
obviously those guys are huge fans of Android. They've used everything. So that's
It's
going to
in
be
the
fun.
name, so
Yeah. So it's going to be fun.
yeah.
So that'll be next Tuesday. It'll be
And
available on all those Stitcher, Pocket Cast,
previously
iTunes.
mentioned rewind, and if you missed it, just rewind, because technology is amazing.
Yes. There's
And
that little button that lets you go back 10 seconds. You should click it
yeah.
a bunch of
Also,
times.
another thing is, from now on, my quality of my mic will not be as
Yes.
bad as it is now, because I ordered the blue snowflake for our podcast, and I actually got a new webcam as well,
Yes.
for the
Next week.
future.
Yes, actually, I forgot to mention that as well. I'm completely screwing up this ending, but
Yeah, I
next
mean,
week.
we're just so
Next,
excited to tell you guys.
yes, next week, of course, is going to be Android Meter. The whole team is going to be here except Timothy. Well, I don't know. He actually might join. We'll see. But
Our schedules are all messed up,
yeah,
so
but we're gonna have them, and then also this is gonna be our first one that is gonna be available live through Hangouts on Air with video.
with video,
So we're gonna leave an event on our
you're gonna
social
see our
networks.
faces.
Yes, we're gonna leave an event on our social networks. It'll probably be, I think it's gonna be around 7 or 8 o'clock Eastern time next week. You can tune in, you can watch live, and then of course you can tune in later on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube
Hmm.
to watch the edited version to
Also,
where I
another
have all the
thing,
music in it.
yeah. Also, next week when we do that, we will. I'm pretty sure we'll have some kind of question and answer program, or
Mm-hmm.
if we don't have that, we will be looking at our Google Plus account, or Twitter.
And Instagram.
Yeah, we have those open all the time, so we're checking in on those, and
We're
newsletter. Please
we
don't forget
want
about that.
Yes, and we want to hear your questions. So that's
Yes.
gonna do it this week. We finally finished that ending. That was probably like a 5 minute ending, but
Yeah.
that's gonna do it this week. We will catch you guys in the next episode, and we will have again Nick and Justin from Android Meter, as well as we will have Alex back, and then it'll be me and Andrew as well.
Maybe Timothy. Who
Maybe
knows?
Timothy. You never know. But
All right.
anyway, we'll see you guys next week.
Catch you later.